Well, we start tonight with the breaking news that Labor Senator Fatima Payman, who defied Labor by crossing the floor to support the Greens on Gaza, will not be expelled from the party. An Albanese spokesperson has told us that the senator says she maintains strong Labor values and intends to continue representing the Western Australians who elected her as a Labor senator. There is no mandated sanction in these circumstances, and previous caucus members have crossed the floor without facing expulsion. As reflected in our amendment, the government supports the recognition of a Palestinian state as part of a peace process towards a two-state solution. Now, I'm going to come back to just how weak Albanese is in a minute, but first to recap, just this evening, Fatima Payman has backed the Greens' motion to recognise a state of Palestine, a move that only rewards Hamas for its terrorism of October 7. And here she was speaking after the vote.
I was not elected as a token representative of diversity. I was elected to serve the people of Western Australia and uphold the values instilled in me by my late father. Today, I have made a decision that would make him proud and make everyone proud who are on the side of humanity.
Senator, will you stay in the Labor Party?
That is the prerogative for my party. I believe that I have upheld the party ethos and called for what the party's platform has stipulated.
Now, other Labor politicians have been expelled in the past for crossing the floor, clearly an exception for Fatima Payman. And she showed utter contempt for the Prime Minister, taking aim at Albanese in her remarks. Now, only 13 senators voted for this Greens bill: Payman, the Greens, David Pocock and Lydia Thorpe. And the debate was ugly, with Lydia Thorpe yelling about Australia's complicity with so-called genocide.
Order, order. Senator Thorpe, I ask you to come to order. Order. Order.
Well, Fatima Payman is now becoming well known for her anti-Israel campaign, at odds with official Labor Party policy. So despite Albanese saying that the chants from the river to the sea and Intifada had no place in Australia, Fatima refused to acknowledge that they were anti-Semitic or inappropriate.
This is a genocide. I see our leaders performatively gesture defending the oppressor's right to oppress. From the river to the sea, Palestine will be free.
She's also praised activists who've set up encampments at universities, despite the fact they've resulted in Jewish students being harassed and intimidated. Many Jews feel unwelcome, with activists posting videos proudly online about chasing Zionists off campus. And just last week, Fatima Payman wrote an opinion piece in Al Jazeera where she called for a Palestinian state without once mentioning Hamas, the October 7 atrocities, or the 120 hostages who are still cruelly held captive in Gaza. Now, as we mentioned, Labor Party policy has in the past meant that those who've crossed the floor are expelled. But we know Albanese is a weak leader, and he's chosen not to exercise his authority over Fatima Payman. He still hasn't over Andrew Giles, despite scandals that should have seen him sacked multiple times over. The danger for Albanese is that now that he's allowed Payman to cross the floor without consequence, he's effectively giving the green light to other politicians to do so in many other policy areas, from nuclear energy to a judicial inquiry into anti-Semitism. Now, like I've said many times, we all want peace. No one wants this war. This war was forced on Israel when Hamas stole 250 innocent people, including babies, young children and teenage girls. Hamas is the governing body in Gaza, and it started this war when it brutally murdered more than 1,200 innocent civilians. Hamas could end this war immediately if it returned all of the hostages and surrendered. But the way to end this war isn't to reward the terrorists by giving them their own state. The suggestion is pure lunacy. And while ultimately there absolutely should be a two-state solution, there can be no Palestinian state until a responsible governing body leads the Palestinian people. To recognise a Palestinian state now, as the Greens suggest, as Fatima Payman wants to do, it turns the terrorists into freedom fighters. It turns October 7 into Palestinian Independence Day. And it only sets back the prospect of peace by emboldening and strengthening the arm of the barbaric terrorists.